What's up, everybody? My name is Paul DiNuzzo. Sometimes you might know me as PLD. And I'm with
And one might call me Ricky J.
J.
One might, but one shouldn't.
Probably shouldn't.
I'm Richard-Erik Jarvi, and this is Class Action. Welcome to the show. Tell us what is Class Action.
Welcome to Class Action. This is the show you're watching, and we're here on the Action Industries YouTube channel. And on this show, we will take a look at two opposing viewpoints or sides. That could be two different movies, could be two different franchises, could be two different actors, could be two different weapons, could be anything you want as long as it's involved in movies. And we'll put them up against each other with the help of 5 custom-made categories, and we'll make them decide which is victorious in our court of law. That's right. We are judge, jury, and sometimes executioner. But we also take a look at it. We take a look at a film. It could be a new film, could be an old film. And what do we do with these films there, Richard? So I'm taking your part again. I'm doing it again.
Yeah, because this is the second time we're actually doing this because Paul messed up the first time.
But I almost did it again. I'm taking it back, though. I'm taking it back. I'm saving it.
No, but I think you said it because we use 5 custom-made categories and we decide which is the winner. But the brief of the week, and if the brief of the week has, or for example, if we have a recently reviewed film, let's say like that, then the brief of the week, wow, and now I'm messing up. I wanted to say the brief of the week involves or is inspired by a recently reviewed film. We will also provide a small review or first thoughts, but if it's 2 older films like we had like a few episodes ago, like Crimson Tide and The Hunt for Red October, then we might take a look at the films in a different way, and we came up with a pretty fun game for that. But we might also be playing it today regardless.
It was such a fun game that we decided we want to do it more often, really, honestly, is what happened. So maybe we have to find a third game or something to play with. It's 2 older films, but we'll see what that happens when that happens. But of course, we are on, like I said, the Action Industries YouTube channel. That's the home of all things Ben Bateman and Andrew Guy, 2 great guys. We salute for giving us our little spot here on their home channel. They're responsible for some of our favorite content on the interwebs and how we became friends in the first place. We have the Action Guys, we have the Action Reviews. They do a lot of first thoughts, some non-spoilers. Of course, they do Action Movie Anatomy, which is their show on the Popcorn Talk Network. Well over 200 episodes now, their flagship show. And they actually just moved Action Movie Anatomy from Mondays until Wednesdays now. Wednesdays, which is the day we're actually recording this. I know you're seeing us on Friday, but we're here on Wednesday. So later on today, they're going to be covering one of Andrew Guy's favorite films, one of Supek's favorite films, Supek, a national treasure, The Mask of Zorro. So I'm really excited to hear what Andrew has to say about this one.
This movie has been talked about a lot to get covered on AMA.
It's been a long time coming. It really has been. Ben finally caved and went with it. See, now Ben's so Andrew's got to cave. Andrew's gonna have to cave on one of Ben's films now. I think I don't know which one it's gonna be, but
he caved on Pearl Harbor though.
That's true. He did cave on Pearl Harbor. Maybe this is the recompense for that. But you know what else we should talk about real quick? The Action Guys. The new Action Guys 2.0. It left Collider. And they went to Action Industries channel itself last Sunday.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was a long episode, but it never felt too long though, because they had a lot to talk about. I think it kind of took what they tried to do with AMA in the first place when they were talking about like Bad Boys and the Oscar movies. In this show, they can incorporate a lot of topics. And well, this week they had Mark Riley on, and they talked about the true best films of 2019. Well, they just counted down their top 10 is pretty much what happened.
What's cool, what was very cool about it was interactive, and they took, especially from the Action Generals. You don't know what that is, the Action movie. The Action Guys have their Patreon, which I happen to know a little thing about. And one of the tiers on the Patreon is the generalship, or the five-star generalship. And one of those, one of the tiers, the rewards, so to speak, is you get to be involved in this general's chat. It's a general bunker, which is a little one-on-one, 2-1, however many show up. Google's Hangout with Andrew and Ben before the streams, before the Action Guys. We got to list our top 10s, and they were put them on the show because the Action Generals were the producers of this show. I loved the episode. I don't know if you how you felt about it, but I think it's a great pot. There's a lot of potential for this going forward with guests with different topics, and they have so much room to be able to breathe and no hard outs. I think this has a lot of potential, especially if they involve call-ins and stuff like they mentioned they might do at some point.
It's gonna be tricky because they're not too tech savvy. So
what?
I'm curious how they're gonna.
Ben Bateman is like he could run
they
Apple.
Are the real Napster.
Yeah, that'd be lovely, you know that. But anyway, that's gonna be every Sunday now. That's gonna be on I believe it's gonna be 5:30 Pacific. So
horrible time for me though.
Great time for me. Good time for me anyway. But anyway, let's move forward with this show because that's what you're going to watch. Is this show? Our brief of the week is something we're going to be calling the people.
We can. Yeah.
Versus
I thought you wanted to jump into the review first, but we can talk about the brief and then do the review.
That's what I want to do. I'm going to do a little teaser here first, and then we'll say why. It's a little bit of an audible. Sorry, I threw you off your game there. That's what I do. I like to keep you on your toes. Come on, Twinkle Toes, keep up. We're going to do the brief of the week, which is the people versus Will Smith. That's what we're entitling it because it's basically two versions of Will Smith. We want to take a look at Will Smith, the early point of his career, versus Will Smith in the current point of his career. We kind of broke it up. 2005? We decided to split up into two.
Yeah, from the 90s. So pretty much like from his first movie, I think in 95 or 93, 94, maybe because it had smaller roles. But from the 90s till 2005 is the first part. And from 2005 until, well, pretty much 2020, because I count Bad Boys for Life into this discussion as well.
And it's a funny thing, the reason why you mentioned Bad Boys for Life, because that is the reason why we're doing Will Smith this week. Because we went and saw Bad Boys. Look at that. Wasn't that classy? Class action indeed. This week was the release of Bad Boys for Life. It's kind of funny. We've had 3 films in this franchise, and they almost take 10 years apart each time. It was like 95 to 2003, I want to say.
This time it was 17
And it was like 17 years more. They're taking like more and more time, although from what I'm hearing, they're already greenlighting a Bad Boys 4. So we might be moving a little quicker this time. And of course, at the end of the we did have a little bit of a tease in the credits.
Spoilers, we will be discussing spoilers.
Yeah, we will.
For the movie.
We definitely will be discussing spoilers. We always do. We're not a spoiler-free channel here, but we won't be too heavy because the reviews for our show are not very in-depth. They're kind of more first thoughts and quick reviews before we can get to the meat of the show. So let's go into it. Let's get right into it. Bad Boys for Life. Now, I love the original Bad Boys and Bad Boys 2. Let's get the poster up there to show. This is the show. This is the movie we're covering. Bad Boys for Life. The original Bad Boys and Bad Boys 2 were pretty much archetypical Michael Bay films. Big, loud, obnoxious, over-the-top ridiculousness. So it was going to be very interesting to me to see this one, which was not directed by Michael Bay, in a time where if you look back at some of the older films, which we did, they're a little, definitely of their time, a little dated, a little bit of... I would go so far as to say there's a little bit of an offensiveness to the.
Well, they're Michael Bay movies.
True.
There's always some there.
But this was a much different beast, I felt. But it was an interesting take.
It was weird because before we transition from Michael Bay, because the trailers look a lot like a Michael Bay movie, and even the camera movement, everything was very. That's what made me nervous about the movie is because even the filter sort of, I don't know, they had this like orange filter on the movie sort of to make this, because Michael Bay's movies are always very well lit and you can tell the color contrast, everything is there. And from the trailer you see Will Smith like rolling on the I don't know what you call it, like the thingy in the warehouse, I don't know, when he shoots and this like purple stuff. You feel like, okay, they are trying so hard to make this look like a Michael Bay movie, and I was so nervous. How do you think it actually came off?
Well, the directors, by the way, Adil El Arbi and Bilal Fallah, actually you could say this is a Michael Bay film because Michael Bay does make a guest appearance as an actor.
Yes, he does. Oh, that was so sweet.
But I will say that I thought the same thing. I thought it was going to be another one. I actually didn't realize that Michael Bay wasn't directing it at first because I just didn't pay attention, I guess. But it felt like they tried to make it a Michael Bay film, but they tried to make it a better not a better film, but more of a.
I know what you mean.
But more of a film instead of like a Bay film. But they didn't want to lose sensibility entirely. They wanted to keep the continuity of the feel. I thought they did a pretty good job of that overall. There's definitely some of the old wow factor, some of the old cartoonishness to a degree, but it's not quite the same. In fact, that was my big takeaway from the film, is that I came out thinking, I think this was probably the best overall film in the franchise, but it was probably the least bad boysiest film in the franchise, if that makes sense.
You know, I don't know, because what makes it a Bad Boys movie for me is you can have everything else about it erased and just have Will Smith and Martin Lawrence doing their thing, doing their jokes, bickering. So I feel like that was there. You felt like there was definitely not 17 years in between the movies. You felt like they were right where they left off. Of course, they were older, but everything, all the chemistry was definitely still there.
Yeah, there was no missing. They didn't miss a beat. I'll give them that. Will Smith and Martin Lawrence together did not miss a beat. They were still as funny as hell. They were as energetic as hell, despite them being 17 years older. They joke on that too. They joke on being a little more senior citizens. That worked well for me. But I think that, in a way, is what it confused me. That was the bad boysiest part of the film, and that was the part that worked for me on that level. But it was more the situations that they were put in that seemed a lot more, I don't want to say hardcore, because it's still at its heart an action film. But it seemed like there's a lot more seriousness to it. Like Bad Boys and Bad Boys 2 were almost like music videos, action-packed music videos. This tried to at least humanize them a little bit more, give them a little bit more depth. And I wasn't sure how I felt about it, to be honest with you, because like I kind of walked out a little bit like, I don't know, because I enjoyed what they tried to do, but I don't know if I wanted that out of a Bad Boys movie.
So it's weird. The fact that they made it a better movie is the fact why you like it less than the other ones.
I think that's what I'm trying to say. And I know it doesn't sound like it makes sense, but like, I guess what I want from a Bad Boys film is different than what I want from a normal actor. Like if this was a different, maybe Will Smith and somebody else in just a different kind of buddy cop movie, I would have been like, oh, this is kind of cool. I like to see what they're doing with it. The script was decent script. They had some decent characterizations. I think the bad guy, the villain there, and again, spoilers again, but Will Smith's son was actually a much better villain than the Bad Boys franchise deserves.
He was not the villain, though. The Bruja was the villain.
Well, the Bruja was the villain, yeah. But like, but I mean, the antagonist said, hey, they had a fight for the most part, except for at the end, was mostly his assassin and taking out people. So it seemed like it was much more of a great action film. But I wanted the ridiculousness. I wanted the over the top. Here's what I get out of it. I think of Bad Boys, the originals. I think of like the Reggie scene from Bad Boys 2. One of my favorite scenes in the whole franchise.
Did you see Reggie though?
I did, but that's actually my point. I'm going to bring up the Reggie scene. The Reggie scene. The Reggie scene in this film seems a little more restrained, a little more. I don't want to say it wasn't tired. I wouldn't say tired is not the right word, but it was a little more low key. Wasn't quite as amped up, and maybe it's because they're older, I guess, in a way. But it served as the difference between the two films for me. Whereas this was more of a serious take. It's going to get a little bit of a wink, nod to the films of the before. But it wasn't as ridiculous as I wanted it. Similarly, the one character I want to say who I thought did do a great job at maintaining that same zaniness was Joe Pantoliano.
Right. Well, he's solid.
Love it. Love Joey Pants. I love him and everything is that. But he seemed like he was exactly just out of the film too. Even his scenes were just out of like the original Bad Boys until they kill him off.
Not a fan of that choice.
I was not a fan of that choice at all, especially because they elevate the love interest at a lieutenant at the end, which was fine, and she was a fine character, but that's not the chemistry I want for that kind of. I mean, I guess it's a cliche, it is, but damn it, he does such a good job as that cliche. So I was not a fan of that. But again, that's another point I was making for the seriousness of it. They try to make it more serious. They try to give him more emotional.
For sure.
They have the death of the Joey Pants. They have the introduction of Will Smith's son. It was almost too serious for me. But at the end of the day, I still liked the film. I still had a good time with it. I don't know. Do you have any other further thoughts on it?
Yeah, well, I even thought they were trying too hard with the jokes for a while because a lot of the jokes they hit, but there was a lot of misses as well. Like with
Mhm.
Michael Bay movies, there was a lot of times like, okay, well, they tried to do that, and that wasn't the best, but they keep going, they keep going. And one of the funniest scenes is in the trailer as well, is when the guy falls on Marcus's car. She knows, she always knows.
Yeah, that was one of the best parts. That was great.
But by one of my, well, I can't say my most favorite part about the movie because Will and Martin are the best part in the movies,
By
but
far.
the inclusion of Ammo and the new team.
Oh yeah, yeah, I
That's
did like that.
exactly that's what it honestly it needed to get out of the the more old timey action thing and bring on this new fresh crew. And I was kind of afraid that they might not even do the characters justice, but every one of those team members was freaking awesome, and you
Yeah,
totally got what they did, who they were.
right. Absolutely. I loved all. I loved all of them.
So that's I feel like that's the future for the Bad Boys. I feel like they have maybe one more movie, maybe two, and then honestly, you could make a movie out of Ammo. I really want to see those guys in their own movie eventually.
You know what I like
Because
to
there was
say?
a lot of star power there as well.
If I was going to see an ammo continuation of the ammo story, I'd almost rather see that be a television series, like a Netflix series or something.
No,
I don't know about a
I wanted to go as
movie.
big as it was in this one, though.
I just don't know. I just don't know if they could. I don't know if they could cover. I don't know if they could do a movie that with them without Will Smith and Martin Lawrence. I feel like it'd be like kind of like it'd become a run of the mill action joint at that point.
I
I
don't
don't
know.
know.
I feel like they could. I thought it had a lot of promise. So
It does have some promise. I'll give you that. I feel like it might work better as like a Netflix series because they can introduce more elements of it. But either way, that's where diverging off our track.
what would you rate the movie?
Yeah, what did you rate? The funny thing is, I have rated all three Bad Boy movies the same at 3.5 stars.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, they're all 3.5. Although if I have to rank them, it'd be two different rankings. As films, 3, 2, 1, and as Bad Boys films, 2, 1, 3.
Interesting. Yeah, I always put the 1 and 2. I'm not sure. At the moment, I like the 1 the most, like the original. But I gave it a 7.9 out of 10, so I guess it has to be 4 stars out of 5, which is I really enjoyed. I was so afraid. Maybe I went in with low expectations because I was afraid. I was very wary, but the movie ended up surprising me, and I just laughed my ass off and fist pumped throughout the whole movie. So.
It was fun. Oh, the action sequences are great. I love the helicopter stuff and everything else, and I love the fact when Martin Lawrence shoots the pilot, and Will Smith's like, "No, don't shoot the pilot!" Ah, you see it happen coming in front of them. I love that part too. And it made some great box office. It was like 73 million.
Oh yeah. It made a lot of money. It's like over 100 worldwide.
Is it 100? I was surprised, a little surprised by that, to be honest with you, but they still got it. So we'll have to see what happens next. I'll definitely welcome a Bad Boys 4 as long as Will Smith and Martin Lawrence want to do it. I'll pretty much watch them do anything because they're the real draw. Everything else is like you basically put them in a movie, surround them with some action set pieces, and you're gonna have a watchable, fun movie. And that's all you need out of this. This isn't like you're not looking for Citizen Kane here. You're not looking for you're not getting an Oscar nomination from this one, but it's fun. It's a fun popcorn movie. That's all you need.
Yep, and I honestly hope the two guys come back. Adil El Arbi and Bilal Falah. I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but I really hope they come back because they did really well, honestly. Even though maybe some of the trying to be Michael Bay, but I thought it worked.
Yeah, I'll give him that. Okay, all right. Well,
what's next?
Well, we got to do our favorite segment. One of our favorite segments, anyway. This is our older favorite segment. We'll throw it up there.
That's your favorite segment.
My favorite segment. What would Ed Harris play? Because Ed Harris, greatest actor of all time. I'll come fight me on that. And, I might be the one who says that, but I don't care. But he does add to every movie he's ever been in. I watched all 77 of his films. Speaking of which, I'm going to throw a plug out there. January 24th, coming up Friday. Probably I won't be able to see it until next week. His next film is coming out, The Last Full Measure, which stars Sebastian Stan and Samuel L. Jackson and about
you showed me the trailer,
which is good. Fun. It's gonna be a fun, not a fun movie, but a good movie. It's a lot of solid performances coming from there. And it turns out a friend of my friend did the score for it, so I'm actually that maybe more intrigued. So I'm more intrigued. I don't have his name off the top of my head. I just found out, so I'm even more intrigued about that. But in this case, what would Ed Harris play this week? Did you prepare anything for it? Did you forget about it like you sometimes do?
No, I didn't forget. But honestly, I'm not going to surprise you there because I was trying to think of a role for him. I don't think there's. I think I'd like to see him as Cap.
As a
I don't
captain,
know. It's a safe bet, but I feel like him with a mustache and then the glasses. I'd love to see him just go off on them.
You know what? I got to tell you that. Like that reminds me. I'm similarly in that. I actually would love. What I'd love to have seen, and it would be. I don't know if it would have fit as much in this film as it would have fit if Michael Bay directed it. Because he was in Ed Harris did Michael Bay's Pain and Gain, if you remember that. So he does work with Michael Bay. I don't want to see.
Rock.
And then, of course, The Rock too. That's right. I almost forgot that was a Michael Bay film. The Rock's almost like too good to be a Michael Bay film.
True.
I would love to have seen Ed Harris play like a similar role as the Cap, whereas like him and Joe Pantoliano could have done like scenes together, almost like a dueling Caps in a way. I'd love to see, because I think if Ed Harris, he's always taken himself very seriously.
Yeah,
I'd love to see a role where he just gets to cut. It's like he uses famous intensity, like his like he's really locked, but make it into almost more of a comedic thing. I think it could be so hilarious, kind of like a Michael Keaton in the other guys, something like that, but more intense. So like him versus Joey Pants would be a fun thing for me. And then, of course, if he went against Will Smith, that would also be a fun confrontation, I think, as well. So that's where I'm going to go with it.
So you'd create a new character.
I would create a new character because I think partially because it would be too easy for me to slip him into the Joey Pants role, and because I love Joey Pants so much, I didn't want to get rid of Joey Pants. So I'll have scenes together, like dueling captains or something to that effect. Maybe Ed Harris is maybe the higher ranked person, like the police commissioner has to come down and comes down on Joey Pants, so that Joey Pants has to come down on Will and Marty.
I think they had that. I think they had that in Bad Boys 1. So and it was a
female
black woman that played the part. So you want to whitewash again? All right, I see where you're going. All right,
I see what we're doing here. We're gonna skip this next segment. Now we're gonna probably be canceled. Fine. That's a problem with putting Ed Harris in anything now. That seems like it would be. If he takes any character, you're whitewashing. That's maybe if I introduce a new character, it's better. But in that case, you're right. I totally forgot about that character in Bad Boys 1.
No, I'm just trying to throw you under the bus.
Throw me completely under the bus. God damn it, Richard. God damn it, Ricky J. Anyway, why don't we go into our next segment? You want to describe our next segment? Do you want me to?
It's called the Public Defender. And why is it called the Public Defender? It's because we're not trying to badmouth lawyers, but the public defender usually is the underpaid. He's overworked. He or she is, let's say, underprepared and sort of gets thrown into the situation and has to think of something on the spot. So her opinions could be considered questionable, not exactly 100%. So public defender uses that off the cuff approach. So in this case, one of us, Paul, has prepared a top 5 list. Our top 6, I think, is we're going to go.
We changed it to top 6 because we figured at one point we had this idea where I was going to come in and give a list to Ricky J over there, and then next week Ricky J would give me a list. I kind of like the idea. We kind of did a couple together where we have a little bit of back and forth. First of all, gives us a little bit of time to come up with something. Honestly, it's a little fun to see us both grasping for straws and everything else. Problem is when I come up with something, I have to come up with something quickly and then not think about it. But I did a pretty good job. I didn't really think about it.
We still didn't explain what it is, though. So it's like a top 5 list that you have to come up with on the spot.
Yeah. We'll say top. Like what did we do last week? It was
emotional or fist bump moments in war movies.
Right. That's right. No. Gory death was the best death scenes or something.
The most brutal moments.
That's right. So that's what we just quick ones off the top of our head.
So what did you prepare for us this week?
All right, this was Public Defender. Oh, by the way, the Public Defender thing I also want to say in terms of not bashing public defenders, it just goes along with our whole court lawyer theme that we got going on here. So that's another reason why we call it that. So anyway, we're going to do it right here off the top of my head. We went top 5 Will Smith moments in his career as far as films go. As far as films go. Yeah, so no cheating and taking the scene from the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air when he that's just the famous scene he gets emotional over his father. So top 6 Will Smith moments.
And we're going to be going
back and forth.
Okay, so
basically we each have
3. 6 pretty much.
We have 3 basically. 3.
Okay, let's start working our way down because the best ones come to mind at first.
Yeah, we don't have to actually. When we say top 6, we just mean 6 great moments because they don't have to necessarily be in order per se.
Dude, this is really tough though because what do you? What is his
Anything you want.
moment? Okay, I'm gonna go really trashy for the best one.
Go right
This is
ahead.
when Will Smith runs in Bad Boys 1 with his shirt open. Do you know the story behind it though?
No, I know. I don't think I know
Because
this one.
he was supposed to have a shirt on. He was supposed to run. Michael Bay said, "Take your shirt off. I'm gonna make you a movie star. I know what works. Take your shirt off." Will Smith said, "No, this is too much. I don't know. All right, what do you think of this? Leave the shirt on, but unbutton it." That was their compromise, and he did it. And it's one of his like more defining action moments.
That's actually pretty funny. They had a lot of Will Smith's classic moments are those kind of moments. Same like when he's in Men in Black, the running sequence in Men in Black when he's chasing down the alien and everything else. So, all right. So that's your first. Bad Boys 1, the Will Smith run, we'll call it. That kind of rhymed. Poet didn't even know it. All right. The first one that comes to mind for me that I'm thinking of, he's a very underrated, underappreciated movie. People hate this movie generally. And he only has a cameo in it. It's Kevin Smith's Jersey Girl.
Okay, I haven't seen it.
Okay, but there's more. Ben Affleck's character
plays. I have seen it.
Ben Affleck plays a disgraced publicist or whatever, and he leaves the game, raises his daughter. He has a chance to kind of get back in, and he has this meeting towards the end of the film, and he goes in, he sits down, and who's next to him but Will Smith? It's actually Will Smith playing Will Smith. And they have this conversation about what's important in life, what's about family, love. And it's just really heartfelt moment from someone who I wasn't used to seeing heartfelt moments from per se. I was used to the big, loud, obnoxious. This is like 2003, I want to say, for Jersey Girl, maybe a little bit before that. I'm not even positive. I mean, he had the turn in Ali where there's a lot of emotions there, but it just seemed like a different, because it was Will Smith himself. And I hadn't seen that from him. And for some reason, I've always had a fond memory of that scene where he turned Ben Affleck back to his family and Ben Affleck was running home to get home in time for his kids' play. And it was really touching, I thought.
Okay, so that's yours. I've got no idea what moment you're talking about. I might look this up later.
Okay, fair enough.
I think I just want to go with his from no, that's cheating. I don't want to pick that movie. All right, what is one of his? Okay, I know I gotta go because this is in 7 Pounds when he calls Woody Harrelson's character and he's trying to he's trying to rattle him, sort of be a dick to him and sort of see if he's a good person, and he's a good person himself, but he needs to see if Woody Harrelson's character would get mad at him if he's like a total dick to him.
Right.
And I love the way he's acting that moment. So I think the second one, in contrast to the first one where he's running with his shirt open, this is a good counterbalance for that.
Fair enough. Okay, I'm going to pull it now. I'm glad you didn't say it, because one of the rules I want to establish for the segment is that we can't pick the same one, obviously. So we have to have it. So I'm going to pull it. The Reggie scene from Bad Boys 2.
Okay.
I know it's him and Martin Lawrence together, but goddamn, that's a funny sequence because that was all improvised. That's what I heard. It was all improvised, not part of the script, which is why it was probably the best part of the script, of the actual dialogue of the movie. But him and Martin Lawrence together grilling Reggie is so funny. I still, that's probably my favorite Will Smith moment, to be honest.
You ever made love to a man? No. You want to?
No. I ain't going back. I ain't going.
Trying to think of another one.
Okay.
No. All right. Just this fun line. I don't even remember which Men in Black movie is it. It's like old and busted, like young hotness or new hotness. I don't know what the line is.
I know what you mean. I think it's the first one, I think, actually. But yeah, yeah, I do remember what we were talking about. Okay, I'll go with that.
Because I'm panicked. I don't know. I can't come up with another.
That's a poor defense, my friend. Poor defense. You're probably gonna go to jail. Okay, I got one more that I got to do. Then I will go with. It was a dramatic moment that I don't know if it was the situation, but it was definitely his role in the situation, which was an I Am Legend. When the
damn it, that's a good one.
You don't know what he's talking about. You don't. I don't have to finish it. When the dog turns and he has to kill his dog, and it's so heart wrenching as he just does it. It's a little off screen.
It's probably my most favorite moment of all. Honestly, now that I think of it,
it's a phenomenal moment. I love that.
Yeah.
So that's my third.
So. You cheated, didn't you?
I did not. I didn't at all. I actually didn't come up with that
Good.
one until you were coming up with your last one. So,
You
wait,
won that one.
did you get 3? I can't remember.
I think I got 3. I got Farm from Bad Boys, Men in Black, and 7 Pounds.
Perfect. Okay. Well, that's our public defender segment. Please leave comments whether you like the segment. Let's see what we can do with it. Maybe you can toss out other ideas. Maybe one of the days we'll let the audience decide at some point. Maybe let them email us or something, or say something at some point. But otherwise, let's move on to our class action brief of the week. And as you saw the original poster we had, it is the young versus the Will Smith the younger versus Will Smith the elder, we'll say. And JP, thank you for that thumbnail. JP does all of our thumbnails now. I'm so happy at that. So let's go over our categories that we chose. Categories.
It was tough to think of categories if you're thinking about an actor and his 2 eras.
Right. We tried to do something similar to this when the first time we did a person versus himself. We did Brad Pitt. I don't think that actually was. I don't think that was an aired
episode.
We did
producer versus actor.
Is that what we did? I thought we did.
Yeah, that was his producing career versus his acting.
Okay, I thought that part. I thought it was more of the. I was for some reason I was remembering whether he was a movie star or if he was an actor versus a movie star.
Oh no, but we countered in the producer stuff.
Yeah,
I think it was sort of like that.
Either way, that one seemed to be pretty easy to go through, but this one. I got when I pitched this, it seemed like, oh, this is cool. It's gonna be an easy no-brainer. And then we kind of came up with struggle. We struggled coming up with the categories that fit the situation, but I think we came up with some pretty decent. So why don't I'll list them and then we'll just go from there.
Sure.
We're each gonna take probably our most memorable movie from each side.
So that's category 1.
Category 1. Each movie from each side, and we'll take we're not reviewing them. We're just gonna take a look at brief look at the performances in there, and we'll see which one's better for ourselves. We have category 2, which is my favorite named category from Ricky J over here. Better Big Willie energy. Want to describe that one?
Pretty much big. What is Big Willie energy, you ask? Well, I think Independence Day and Bad Boys are the best examples of what he was like in the 90s and how his shtick was very much rooted in that time. We are going to be comparing how he was in the 90s and how he is now in the modern day cinema. How he has evolved, maybe, or not evolved. How those 2 qualities of his have changed or have not changed. Which era do you like him better?
Right. I like that. Okay. We also have the better draw fame. We took the box office receipts. We have some factual knowledge on that, which is more important to his career. Is he more famous now than he was then? Is his box office bigger then or now? We'll go through at that. Also, we have category 4. I took a look at his music career versus his producing career. Because back in the early 90s, he was definitely the Fresh Prince. Wild Wild West, he was singing all his theme songs. And
Men in Black.
Men in Black. But later on, he stopped really doing that, but he got heavily more involved in production side, or at least the higher sides of films, including like helping his son, getting like the Karate Kid reboot off the ground, things like that, putting his son in films, trying to like be more controlling of his destiny, so to speak.
But not just his family, just maybe be more in controlling in his own movies as well.
His destiny, right? His own destiny in a way, which makes sense to me. So which one has more of an influence on his careers and stuff? So that's a really cool one. And finally, just quality performance. He has had some Oscar nominations. He had 2 Oscar nominations. And we'll go over some of those and see what era has a better quality performance. Simple.
That's right.
So without further ado, let's just go right into it. Want to go with the category 1 is best movie from the first half. Is it best movie from the second half? Or maybe not best. Best is subjective.
Yeah, something that's your favorite, maybe, or you feel is most highlighted from his era.
So,
and for me, I grew up on Bad Boys 1 in 95. That's from his earlier career. And the other one I have is 7 Pounds.
7 Pounds.
Yeah.
That actually might be the book poster, you think, huh?
It might be. That's what you get when you ask me to pull posters.
That's true.
I pull these really weird alternative posters.
He loves the alternative posters. I gotta tell you, I never did this before, but he did that to me a couple of times when we were doing Battle Royale on Yeah, the Patreon stuff where we just pin all these movies against each other. He'd always pick the most weird alternative
Obscure posters. Yeah.
And I look at it and go, "What the fuck is? I've never seen that one before." But I
What
gotta
the
tell
fuck
you,
is he sending me?
But I gotta tell you, like I do that now myself because I love looking for these things. I like looking for the different alternative posters. They're fun. They're fun to look at. They're instead of seeing the same old, same old. So that's what. Okay. So anyway, you did Bad Boys from the early era and 7 pounds. I chose to go with Independence Day, the original, not the piece of crap sequel. I'm sorry, I shouldn't say that, but not the sequel that was not quite as good.
You can say it's a piece
I
of
can
crap.
say piece of crap sequel. Yeah. And the other side, The Pursuit of Happiness, which is
wait, but Will Smith isn't even in the sequel, so
that's true. That's right. So I didn't even need to qualify that. And maybe that's why it was such a piece of crap. Maybe that I didn't know. But we'll see. So okay, I'll take the first, I guess, since I'm already here. I'll say Independence Day. Now let's go over that. That is the almost archetypical 1990s Big Willie energy type, which we're going to go into later on. But he made the film. Now, this is a film that, as I watched for Action Movie Anatomy, I hadn't watched it in a long time. I watched it more critically, and Ben and Drew were right in that this is not aged nearly as well as some other films have. It's not a great film, but I will say that it is still good for two reasons. There's two things about it that are really good. The obvious is the Bill Pullman speech.
Oh, yes.
But Will Smith still remains great to me.
Yeah.
Now, they have said, Ben and Drew have also said this, that in the 90s, especially Michael Bay, there's definitely some more problems racially as far as how they have black African American roles. They tend to be more one note, loud, obnoxious, very much what Will Smith does. And they're not wrong. They're not wrong. I do see it through nostalgia eyes myself. I was a young teenager during that time, and I didn't notice anything wrong at the time. When I look back, I see it, but it's hard for me to judge it as much because I lived through it, and they were always pretty funny at the time. I mean, I know you can't kind of get away with that nowadays as much and for good reason. But he was great in Independence Day. He had this energy that really kept the movie going. Like no matter what was going on in the film, his role from the air fight in the beginning, where he takes the alien in tow and drags him to the base, all the way to the end where he's with Jeff Goldblum, smoking the cigar, doing the most ridiculous thing in the world by producing a computer virus for a completely different computer system from a different galaxy. Makes no sense at all, but Will Smith pulls it off because you believe in him. You want him to win. He has the heart. He's the heart of the film. When Bill Pullman talks about the wanting your Independence Day, Will Smith is the everyman you want to see win. And so
you're picking Independence Day over Pursuit of Happiness.
No, I haven't talked about Pursuit of Happiness. I want to get into Pursuit of Happiness now. Pursuit of Happiness is the other side where you have a much calmer Will Smith, but you see how intense Will Smith is without being the rowdy, one-note, obnoxious Will Smith. It's very much a more low-key performance. It's much more grounded in humanity, and that's why I'm actually going to give it to Pursuit of Happiness. That scene at the end where, I don't know if you don't know the film, it's about a man who's trying. He's basically a single father. And he has no money, and he has an internship. He's struggling so hard. They're living in shelters, or living in little hotels, or living at one point in a subway bathroom for the night. And that's a terrifying scene in of itself. It's so harrowing. It's so touching. It's so saddening to watch.
You're talking about the final scene.
The final scene, though, is the one that I really like, when he gets at the end and he finally finds out he got the job. He's going to be able to save his life, to save his career, and save his son, grow his son. And the moment on his face, it's so heartbreaking and positive, in a positive way, with tears flowing. It's such a great performance. I'm so glad he got a nom for that. It was well deserved. And that's why, despite the energy and the nostalgia of Independence Day, I'm going to give this to Pursuit of Happiness. So I love Pursuit of Happiness.
So the first one goes to his later career.
Will Smith the Elder.
New age Smith.
Yes, exactly. So that's
yeah, because our movies are very much alike. Bad Boys versus 7 Pounds for me. 7 Pounds is a weird movie that people either love or hate. I saw it. It's like 7.8 on IMDb, but it's like 37 on Metascore, which is so weird. People love and hate it.
Wow.
I love 7 pounds. I think it's his best performance. And I talked about it briefly. I cheated a bit. I used the moment where he's calling Woody Harrelson, but also at the very end when he's spoilers for 7 pounds, when he's pretty much sacrificing himself for other people to get his organs because he has in a road accident he killed his family and another family, I think. So he's trying to make good, which is super fucked up story if you think about it, and it's tough to watch at times, but it's really endearing. But I'm going the same way you did. I want to say Bad Boys because he's got this bravado and machismo and everything about him is perfect, but he's critical, like he's deep, like he's even better at the serious stuff than he's at all this action movie and comedy stuff. So I'm giving it also to his later career. I'm going 7 pounds.
Okay.
Wins this one. So this was not where I thought this was going, though.
Yeah.
So it's 2-0 for Old Willie.
Because Old Willie, I thought this nostalgia was going to win, but I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But the next category might give it back. Big Willie energy. Let's face it, Big Willie energy.
Big Willie energy.
That's from his younger career. I mean, that defines his younger career. And in fact, I would say that he went away from Big Willie energy to his success.
Yes.
But at the same time, when it comes down to it, you miss it a lot. You miss the humor aspect of it to the point where he's now come back with Bad Boys for Life. He's had a little bit of a resurgence there. I think Aladdin could actually be technically in that same realm. He has that kind of same Big Willie energy for that, I would think. And also Bright with a little higher energy than that. Gemini Man was definitely an attempt to a degree, be that big action hero role again, even though it wasn't as successful. So Big Willie energy is much smaller in his elder years. Obviously, he's also getting older, so that doesn't help matters in that case. So I got to say, you got to give Big Willie energy, nostalgia or not, you got to give Big Willie energy to the younger. So I'm going to go with younger.
I'm gonna totally take a turn here and say that is exactly why I'm giving this one to his later career, because, and hear me out. He has this, everything you said about the 90s. I totally agree. This is what I know Will Smith has, exactly this energy that he had in Independence Day, Bad Boys, and until Hitch is, I think, is like 2004 is where we cut the line. But I feel like he has kept that energy, but evolved it, and it's not so, like we say, maybe in the Bad Boys movies, it's sort of maybe too much, or in Independence Day when he's kicking the alien and everything, he's almost too much, and you think that won't work in modern cinema, but he has transformed himself. Take Aladdin for example. This is Big Willie energy. He totally redefined the character from what Robin Williams did. So he had an uphill battle to climb, battle to fight, but he has managed to keep that going. He still has that energy, and he has proved that it's not indicative of the times, and that he can change without changing too much of himself. That's why I want to give this to his later career, which kind of surprised me that I'm going this way.
I gotta tell you, you're kind of winning me over. I think I have to change my answer. I'm allowed to do that. I think I will, because I do, because it's definitely less of an offensive, because there is that offensive quality that is kind of skirted with the nostalgia. I get that. And so thinking what you say, and he has harnessed it more in his later career, just a different fashion.
I think Bad Boys for Life is a perfect example where he has ended up with that quality, how he still has that from the older Bad Boys, but a little bit more serious, a little rooted in reality a bit more. So.
Okay, you won me over. I'm going to switch my thing. I'm going to go. I'll go Elder also. So you won me over. That makes it 4-0 Elder at this point. Then
this is not what was supposed to happen.
This is not all what I thought was going to happen. Because I mean, I got spoilers for my own thought process when I went in. It's like I thought nostalgia was going to totally win, and like I'd be like, oh, it's got fucking Independence Day. It's got Bad Boys. It's got Men in Black. How could it be wrong? But I'm finding out that this is I wonder if this is going to continue in this next category.
Better. The next category is
we're going to box office.
Better draw or
You did some
fame.
research.
And I did some research. I tried to look up his box office from his movies until 2005 and from 2005 to 2020. And the results were surprising, to say the least. It may have been a few mathematical errors, but the overall is pretty much the same. His older movies until 2005 have made 4.2 billion, or 4.3, let's round upwards, 4.3 billion worldwide. And his later movies have grossed only 5.1 billion. It's not only, it's a lot of money, but it's not that big of a difference. You would think that his movies would be way more productive in his later career because he has all this fame and he has become a way bigger star.
But the other argument for that would be that because, just as what I said before, is that he had such a big hits in his earlier career that are so nostalgia based. If you ask somebody, Will Smith, just off the top of your head, what do you know Will Smith for? Most likely they're going to talk about his early career.
Yeah,
I mean, he had some great moments.
Men in Black.
Some great moments, but they're all either, again, a lot of the sequels, Men in Black 2, Bad Boys, they're all related to those earlier franchises. His later career, where he had some more critically acclaimed films, Pursuit of Happiness, 7 Pounds had some critical acclaim, Concussion, and things of that nature. But those are always lesser draws as far as that goes. If you have a blockbuster versus a critically acclaimed film, you're going to get the blockbuster making more money in a way. You think that way. But I am a little surprised by that as well. I would think that by now that it would have been a little higher than that. But
it's weird. This is another thing I noticed in his earlier career. His movies are the box office was very, like, for example, it's always on the line. It's like 200 million per movie, like average, sort of. And in his later career, you can tell that the movies are more. It's like one has made 1 billion and the other one has made like 88 million. So there's like a big difference. But you can tell that his later career comes into play. And talking about him being a producer, you can tell that he is placing himself in these big movies to get the box office. But then the smaller roles, when he's all about his performance, honestly, the movies, they've been flops if you look at them
financially.
Yep.
An interesting aspect of that too, is you think about it, that his earlier career, he could open the movie. Like Will Smith starred in Bad Boys, Will Smith starred in Men in Black, Will Smith starred in Wild Wild West. But you look at his later career, his best roles or his best successes, like you said, are just more as side character, not side character, but like supporting roles. Aladdin, for example, he's the featured role, but he's not the lead role. Suicide Squad, it's more of an ensemble piece. He's probably the featured piece of an ensemble, but he's still there. I mean, those are some of his better successes. When you put him in front and center of a movie like Gemini Man, didn't do very well.
And you can see the signs there. And I'm going to say something very controversial, maybe, but it feels like Will Smith's star is fading, but he is denying it, and he's sort of fooling us that it's actually not fading, that he is still the box office draw. But the real fact is, it's not him that keeps bringing the box office up, it's someone else. I'm a big fan of his. I love him and I love his acting, but you can tell the signs are there that his star is fading.
And Bad Boys for Life is going to combat that a little bit, but it's going to help.
But it's Martin Lawrence.
But it's not. Yeah, it's not. It's a franchise. That's the thing.
Well, yeah, it's not Martin Lawrence that he's bringing in. I'm not saying that Martin Lawrence is the reason, but it's still a big cast, and it's definitely rooted in nostalgia. That's one of his older movies.
Which is
so. This is, I think.
Anyway.
Sorry.
Which is huge nowadays. Anyway, we're all banking on remaking or sequelizing or whatever movies. Think about it. Just came out in December. Spies in Disguise. Yeah, it's animated, but that came and went.
Well, I know nothing about it. I know it's in the movies in Estonia right now. No buzz, zero.
Will Smith and Tom Holland, attached to that as well.
Yeah,
but Will Smith is the lead. There's nothing.
So this is why I'm going. Definitely his earlier career.
Yeah, I think
I feel like all the signs are there that his star might be fading, but I don't think it will fade. but it would fade if he wasn't that big of a producer, which is a perfect segue into our next category, which is his music career from his earlier era versus his producing career.
Right. And that's what we got here. We got the music career, which as the beginning, even before the era we started looking at, he was obviously first as the Fresh Prince, DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince, which led to his TV show, but also led to him being this crossover success. He was one of the, I can't say one of the first, but one of the biggest of his time, especially artists who had music and could act and perform, and he made that crossover work even better by adding that Wild Wild West theme song, the Men in Black theme song. He was someone you could act in a movie and do the theme song of it, so it was a great cross promotional for him. It led to him getting roles, I think, and it led to him getting powerful position in Hollywood, where you knew what you were going to get at Will Smith. You're not only going to get a movie that's going to succeed, you're going to get a soundtrack that's going to succeed. And so I think I gave him a lot of opportunity. But then you counter that with as far as influence his career goes, I still feel like he was a mercenary. He's a mercenary back in the day. He didn't have as much. He had some control because of his power, but he has much more control now.
For sure.
I mean, hell, he's got his. He said he's helping his son with Karate Kid. He puts his son in After Earth with him.
It was in Pursuit of Happiness as well.
Pursuit of Happiness as well. He gets to produce a lot more, and he gets to choose roles that he wants to choose. He can develop things like Concussion, help be in a dramatic role like Concussion. He helps get to be a producer on Bad Boys for Life now. He produces Annie. He produced Annie that he wasn't even involved with. Also, like I said, the Karate Kid. Also, he also did Secret Life of Bees, Lakeview Terrace. A lot of movies he actually just got more involvement with. And I think that's allowed him to shape the career he wants. He can choose to do a film like Concussion, even though it might not work out for him financially. But he can go ahead and I'll just let myself in Suicide Squad next. I have enough bank where I can put myself in that kind of role. And even though Suicide Squad, whether you like it or not, it still was at least financially successful.
It was. It made like 800 million or something.
So I mean, that's whatever you want to say about the quality of the film. He got his bank out of it. So
he's considered one of the most powerful people in Hollywood as well. He's like Tom Cruise in that sense, that most of his movies that he is doing, he's producing as well. And you can tell that he is definitely vetting. For example, Bad Boys for Life. I'm pretty sure that he vetted those directors to make that movie, because there were a lot of directors attached at first.
Yeah,
they got switched. There was I think it was Joe Carnahan at some point, and I don't remember someone else.
Agreed.
But you can tell these are relatively new directors in Bad Boys for Life, but they are up and comers for sure. Their movies have been getting more recognition, and you can tell that Will Smith, you can tell that now that you've seen the movie, that there was no way that Bad Boys for Life was going to be bad, because he had so much control. He was going to push that movie into being good. It may be a weird thing to say, but that's sort of the idea that stuck with me when I watched the movie.
I agree, and that's why I'm getting into the Elder. I'm getting into Will Smith the Elder. Music career definitely helped get him to where he is, but at the end of the day, I think that the producer side and the more control is going to help his career overall, where he can do both what he wants to do and what he needs to do. He can afford now the fact that he made one of the biggest mistakes in his career by turning down Neo in the Matrix.
Right.
He can afford that because now he can make a Bad Boys for Life after making something like Bright or
and exactly why his star isn't fading.
Right.
He's pretty much controlling his stardom.
Yeah. And that's why
which is weird when you think of it.
It is. Right? It is kind of weird. Once you hit that level, though, you can hang on a little longer than some people can.
And if you look at his music credits, there's actually only 4 musical credits in movies that he has, like in the soundtrack department. I was sure that there was going to be way more. There's only 4. There's like Wild Wild West, Men in Black. There was the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. He did the soundtrack for the show, and there was something else I can't remember. I looked it up, but there's not a lot. And you look at his producing credits, there's like 37 credits.
Yeah.
I think this is an easy win to his later career.
Okay, I agree. I'll go with that as well. Wow. So this is almost, we don't even need to do the 5th category because it's already over pretty much. But I will do it anyway. Quality performance. Quality performance. I'm going to say, thinking about it after, I thought this might be a better category, But now that we've gone through the 4 categories, I feel like this is a no-brainer too. I mean, his performance in the 90s was one note. It was very
exactly.
I mean, he had a couple like where like towards the end of that, but even I almost feel like if only because of the 2005 cutoff date, if we just move it up a little bit, then that would make sense. I mean, he has like Ali was 2001, so technically it's early. But from then on, it started to get more where he would go back and forth. He had Ali, followed it up with Men in Black and Bad Boys 2. He has that moment there right after that 2005 where or 2006 when Pursuit of Happiness comes in. And from then he started getting these roles where he'll go back and forth. He'll have like a Hancock, which is a silly movie I like more than like I know Benninger.
Oh, it's a lot of fun.
I think it's a fun movie. Then he gets to do something like Concussion. Then he gets to do I Am Legend. Gets to do these roles like that. So I think the quality of performance, even though he has an Oscar nomination for Ali, I gotta give it to the more later part of his career.
It's weird. So am I, and like 100% with you. It feels so weird because, well, he's like the perfect movie star when you think about it. This is exactly, he rides the wave. He's like Big Willie energy wave in the 90s. But then when it's time, when the time comes to a close on that specific energy, he evolves and he starts bringing in these quality performances. Almost, I would say Brad Pitt is exactly on the same par with him. Yeah. Brad Pitt, well, he didn't have that big of like a swag like Will Smith has back in the day, but he was definitely one note. And now you can tell he's giving these awesome performances, very varied performances. He's probably going to win the Oscar. Maybe, I don't know. He could win the Oscar for Once Upon a Time.
Yeah.
But the only actor I feel like who is actually just riding his one note wave successfully is Tom Cruise. He does maybe Tropic Thunder and Magnolia, but I don't think he has fallen back onto his action movies and just being Tom Cruise. But it works. It's weird. Yeah. He's like the last like sort of action hero that way.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's it. Looks like I think I miscounted here, but I think it's.
I think only one category got
two. They both got it. They're both of us for that. So that would mean it's 8-2, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Crazy.
8-2 for Will Smith, the Elder. The Elder Will Smith. I thought this was going to be much closer. I actually thought Will Smith, the Younger, was really going to win.
Same here. Completely agree with you.
This is why I love our show, because we could when you go through the categories, things change. Well, that's going to wrap things up now for us. So this week we are definitely running a little later than we usually like to run on the show. So why don't we tell you where you can find you and plug your stuff, Richard?
Yes, Richard-Erik with a K Jarvi on Facebook and Instagram. And of course, we are doing Class Action Weekly. We will be back next Friday with a new episode. And Action Industries, go follow it everywhere. And I left it up again. You didn't know when I was going to finish.
I didn't, so I'm going to go there. That's all right, though. You find me at Paul_DiNuzzo. It's DiNuzzo, but it's spelled DiNuzzo on Twitter. There's a Team Action Patreon, patreon.com/Team Action. You can find some great tiers there. You can also find us both sometimes on the Call to Action podcast, which involves the movie trivia schmodown side of Benninger's career, as well as others as well.
The award-winning show.
The award-winning Call to Action podcast. We did win Best After Show podcast for the movie trivia schmodown. But other than that, we'll find us next week on Class Action. Again, I don't think we have a topic yet decided, but we'll come up with something soon. We might be changing days. We're talking about changing maybe into doing a set to premiering on Saturdays, but we'll let you know when we get there.
Because we want to do a live show at some point.
We would like to do a live show if we can do that. Hopefully, I don't know when. We'll figure it out. Time frames make things difficult for us, but it is what it is. But with that being said, court is adjourned, my friend. Court is adjourned.